It's not often that phones under the price of rupees 10,000 make any kind of impact in the market, but Redmi has constantly provided phones that have been under rupees 10,000, and the Redmi 7A is one such product. With it starting at just under 6,000 rupees, will this phone actually fit in the budget bracket while still providing a decent enough Android experience? My name is Bharat Nagpal, you're watching iGyaan. Let's find out in our review. So the Redmi 7A starts at Rs 5,799. You get 2GB of RAM and 16GB of storage. The phone runs on a Snapdragon 439 chip, which has 2 performance cores at 2 GHz and 6 idling cores at 1.45 GHz. You also get the Adreno 505 GPU. The phone has a micro SD card dedicated slot, which can take up to 256GB of additional storage, apart from the 16GB of storage that comes on the base variant. On the front of the phone is a 5.45-inch display. This is a 1440 by 720 pixel display. It is an 18:9 aspect ratio, but you still have heavy bezels on the top as well as the bottom, and you get a 295 pixel per inch pixel density. The front-facing camera just sits above the display next to the earpiece, and it's a 5 megapixel camera with an f2.2 aperture. It can capture 1080 video at 30 frames per second. Now below the screen you'll see the Redmi logo, and just under that is the micro USB charging port, which is flanked on either side with 2 grills. One of them is a microphone while the other is a speaker. On the top of the device is a dedicated 3.5mm headphone jack along with a noise cancellation microphone. The back has the main camera, which is a 12 megapixel camera in India with an f2.2 aperture and a 1/2.9-inch sensor. It does have face detect autofocus, and it has the ability to capture HDR images. The camera has surprisingly good performance for the price that this phone is available at, and we'll talk about that in just a second. You can also see the LED flash, and the camera can also capture 1080p video at 30 frames per second. As far as the build quality is concerned, the phone is rather well made. It is entirely made out of plastic, but this is a good quality plastic, and it does not have any rattle or shake, and it does not flex or bend easily. The paint finish on the back is also very premium, and the phone feels actually pricier than what it's priced at. The phone is also splash resistant, but it's not waterproof or water resistant, so try to keep it away from water as much as you can. The phone is compact, which is what I like about it, and it also weighs only 165 grams, which is usually not the case for phones which have a 4000 mAh battery. The display on the Redmi 7A is an IPS LCD display, which gives it great viewing angles, and the 720p resolution is pretty good for the size of the screen this is. The colors are vibrant. While I would have liked to see a little bit more brightness from the screen, the front glass is also highly reflective, so whether you're indoors or outdoors, you're always looking at glare on this screen. In the way that the display is designed, there also seems to be a little bit of a gap between the touch digitizer and the display itself, so the screen is not as immersive as you would see with modern smartphones. But then again, we are constantly looking at an under 6,000 rupee price bracket, so we can't really complain about the screen not being overly immersive. Now the phone runs on MIUI out of the box, and it's highly customizable, and it gets all of Xiaomi's features, including gesture support, so you can swipe to navigate from the bottom, swipe up to go back to the home screen, left or right to go back or forward. All of those fun little gestures are available on this screen, and it works rather well for that. The phone also gets face unlock, again with MIUI, but it's not the safest face unlock. In fact, even if you cover half your face, the face unlock continues to unlock the phone. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it can be easily broken, possibly using a photograph. The phone also misses out a fingerprint sensor, which is rather unfortunate because at this price, now fingerprint sensors are really cheap. So even an older generation fingerprint sensor would have been fine for this product, and they could have easily added it because a lot of other companies have managed to add fingerprint sensors. If you have face unlock enabled and you try to log in with the passcode, you will see that there is a considerable amount of lag on the lock screen. Now MIUI has become quite clean over the years, but there are still some apps that are pre-installed, including Mi Credit and Mi Pay, that you would possibly not use, but they are there. There are some bloatware apps as well, which you can thankfully uninstall and remove. The phone also continues to get ads. We've disabled ads all over the user interface, but we still see ads all over the phone. And that's just a MIUI thing. That's how they're able to provide the phone at such a low price. but you do continue to get ads, and it's kind of unfortunate. As far as the user interface itself is concerned, it's really fast and responsive. The gestures work great, and you also get your usual suspect of features. The phone also continues to get a FM radio and a voice recorder. Things that people like to use are available on this phone. Now, as far as performance is concerned, this phone is good for basic day-to-day use, and multitasking on this phone is also pretty impressive for the kind of chipset and the kind of hardware that this device has. Interestingly, the phone can also run PUBG, which is also a kind of first for phones at this price bracket, but expect to get decent results only if you have your graphics settings at low and frame rates also set at low or medium, because that is basically the only option you will get when you go into the graphics menu. For number nerds, the phone scores a 75,000 on Antutu, which is not the best of scores, but it's not overly bad considering, again, the price bracket that this phone is available at. You can run games, but expect to play them only on low graphics, or you can play arcade games at decent graphics as long as they are not overly graphics intensive. Both the earpiece and the loudspeaker on the phone are extremely loud and quite well balanced, so you will not deter from watching video directly from the loudspeaker, but like I mentioned, you do have a 3.5mm headphone jack. The phone also has an interesting camera, a 12 megapixel sensor at the back, which does capture decent photographs. You do have HDR along with some filter effects, and you can also enable timers and have a burst mode if that's what you want. You also have a pseudo pro mode that does allow you to control the white balance, the focus settings, the shutter, and the ISO. For video, you do get 1080p video at 30 frames per second, or you can also make a time lapse directly from the phone's camera. You also have something called short video, which makes short videos for apps like TikTok. So if you're into that, this can come in handy for that. So you'll make short videos, you can add some filters and effects and create your short videos. The front-facing camera surprisingly has a portrait mode, even though the rear-facing camera does not. Now the images are pretty good. The saturation and contrast on the images is pretty impressive. Again, looking at the price, this phone performs well over the price bracket that it's been placed at, so you'll get good camera results even in low light. The camera user interface is also snappy, something that I did not expect this phone to have. Overall image reproduction is also pretty good, so definitely if you are looking for something under the 6,000 rupee price bracket that can click good pictures, the Redmi 7A will definitely be one of the best in this price bracket for that. The phone has dual SIM capability, along with the fact that it has a dedicated micro SD card slot. As far as networks is concerned, it's got pretty strong networks, and like I mentioned, call quality is impressive on both sides. The microphone is good, the earpiece is good, so that will definitely be good for people who are making calls on this, but today who makes calls on phones anyway. As far as battery life is concerned, we've got a 4000 mAh battery, which does support 10-watt charging. When we left the phone with everything off on standby, it drains about 25% overnight, so there is a little bit of a battery strain. I don't know, something in the background is causing the battery to drain, or if the hardware in itself drains the battery, but the phone charges up fairly quickly, and overall battery life is pretty good, so you should get about 4 to 5 hours of screen on time without any problem. And if you're a conservative user, you should easily get double of that based on how you use the phone. Overall, the Redmi 7A is an impressive product at an impressive price. More things than I would have liked to see in a phone of this value. Interestingly enough, the only two negatives that I find are the fact that it still has ads, which I think Xiaomi should start removing now, and it does not have a fingerprint sensor, which I feel could have been added because, I mean, they have to be cheap in 2019. That's it for this video, guys. If you liked it, don't forget to smash the like button, hit the subscribe button if you're not already a part of Team iGyaan. This has been Bharat. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one.